Welcome to the Paranormal Report. In today's episode, we will look into the strange and unexplainable disappearance of 5 young men from Yuba City, which has come to be known as the mystery of the Yuba County Five and has also been referred to as America's Dyatlov Pass incident. On February 24th, 1978, a group of 5 young men from the Yuba City area, whose ages ranged from 24 to 32, set out on a trip to watch a basketball game at Chico State University. The city of Chico is located 40 miles north of Yuba City and is a straight shot up Highway 70, about an hour's drive. Not only were the 5 men passionate about attending basketball games, they also loved to play the game as well. They were all members of the Gateway Gators, a team formed by the Yuba City Vocational Rehab Center for the Handicapped. They were even scheduled to play a very important game the next day, a qualifying game that, if they won, would send them on to Los Angeles to play in the Paralympics. The 5 men were all diagnosed with mental disabilities. However, they were on the higher end of the scale, and for the most part, they were perfectly capable of functioning in society. Jack Madruga, age 30, was the driver that evening, and the owner of a 1969 Mercury Montego, which transported the group to Chico that evening. Madruga had served in the U.S. Army and had worked for Sunsweet Growers in Yuba City. Gary Mathias, age 25, had the most severe mental health issues of the group. He had suffered from schizophrenia and had been prescribed medications to control his condition. Mathias had also served in the U.S. Army, but had been discharged due to his condition. Mathias also worked at his stepfather's gardening business. Ted Weir, age 32, was the oldest of the group. He had worked as a janitor and a snack bar clerk. Jack Hewitt, age 24, was a bit of a slow learner. He had become best friends with Weir. Weir looked after the younger Hewitt, and the two had become inseparable. Bill Sterling, age 29, was deeply religious and would spend hours at the library studying scripture. He would spend much of his time spreading the word of Jesus to patients in mental hospitals. The 5 young men were excited and eager to attend that evening's basketball game. They were even more eager to play in the next day's game themselves. Early on the evening of Friday, February 24th, Jack Madruga picked up his 4 friends at each of their houses around Yuba City. Madruga loved to drive, and after they all piled into his 1969 turquoise and white Mercury Montego, they set off on their 40-mile drive to Chico State University. The game ended around 10 p.m., and the group stopped at a convenience store just 3 blocks away to pick up some snacks. The clerk clearly remembered them because he was trying to close up and was mildly annoyed at the time. The next day, when the group failed to return home, their families became concerned and phoned the police. They were scheduled to play their big game on Saturday, and it was completely unlikely that they would willingly miss such an important game. Police began a search for the men, but had very few leads to go on. Then, on Tuesday, February 28th, a forest ranger found Jack Madruga's car abandoned on a dirt road up in the mountains at an elevation of 4,500 feet in the Plumas National Forest. This was a 2.5-hour drive in the opposite direction from their homes in Yuba City. Even more confusing was the condition that the car was found in. The car had a quarter tank of gas left and had no signs of damage, was not stuck in the snow, and was in perfect running condition. A quarter of a tank is more than enough gas to get the group home to Yuba City, so why had the group abandoned their car? Police and rescue workers searched the area for 5 days and found no sign of the men. The search had to be called off after the 5th day due to a severe snowstorm that dumped nearly 9 inches of snow in the area. On June 4th, a full 3 months after the men went missing, a group of motorcyclists off-roading in the mountains came across a group of trailers at a Forestry Service campsite, located about 19 miles from the road where Madruga's car had been found. The trailers were maintained by the Forestry Service and were only used in emergency situations, such as search and rescue and firefighting. The motorcyclists noticed a broken window on one of the trailers and went to investigate. They found the door was unlocked, and when they opened the door, they were overcome by a foul odor. This turned out to be the decaying body of Ted Weir. A search was immediately conducted around the area of the trailer, and the next day, searchers found the remains of Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling, roughly 11 miles from the road where Madruga's car had been found. 2 days later, the remains of Jack Hewitt were found approximately 2 miles northeast of the trailer. To this day, no remains of Gary Mathias have ever been found. However, searchers did find 3 Forestry Service blankets and a flashlight approximately half a mile northwest of the trailer. Ted Weir's body was lying on a bed wrapped up in 8 bed sheets. He was wrapped up in such a way that someone else had to do it, as it would have been impossible for him to do it himself. The autopsy showed that Weir had suffered frostbite on his feet and that the cause of death was a combination of starvation and hypothermia. His weight had dropped from 200 pounds down to 120, and the growth of his beard suggested that he had survived up to 13 weeks. Weir's shoes were missing, however Mathias's shoes were found on the floor next to the bed. One of the most puzzling aspects of this case is that the trailer had an abundant supply of matches and a large amount of wooden furniture, newspapers, and paperback books that could have been burned in the fireplace for warmth. Also, the trailer had an attached propane tank, and a simple turn of a valve would have supplied the trailer's heating system. The trailer also contained a large supply of MREs, meals ready to eat, which are a dehydrated military-style meals which could have kept all 5 men fed for up to a year if necessary. There was also plenty of Forestry Service winter clothing in the trailer that the men could have used to keep warm. There are many strange and unanswered questions regarding this case. Why did the men end up at an elevation of 4,500 feet in the mountains of the Plumas National Forest? The drive from Chico to Yuba City is roughly 40 miles and is a straight shot down Highway 70. The area they ended up in is in the completely opposite direction and up steep, unpaved mountain roads. Why did the men leave their car? Jack Maguta's car had plenty of gas left and was in good working order. There was no logical reason for the men to abandon their car. How did they end up in a trailer 19 miles away in the wilderness in deep snow? If they had stayed on the road they were on, they were only a few miles in either direction away from help. Why, with the exception of Ted Weir, didn't the group stay at the trailer? There was plenty of food, warmth, and shelter from the elements there. Instead, they all, with the exception of Weir of course, took off in different directions in the middle of winter with no cold weather gear. And why did Weir die of hunger? With so much food around him, there seems to be no reason for him to starve. Where is Gary Mathias? Gary Mathias' body has never been found, and although it is possible that he survived, it is widely assumed that he perished along with his friends, and his body has yet to be discovered. There are so many unanswered questions regarding this case. The discovery of the car and the bodies has only deepened the mystery. We may never know what truly happened to the